Let's face it, we're all hurtling towards the inevitable truth that is aging. It's happening right now. Yes, even to you. But what if I told you there might be a way to tap the brakes on this whole aging thing? Enter Dr. David Sinclair, a man who looks like he's found the cheat codes to life. It's Bruce Health here again with another video, and it would be greatly appreciated if you can support our channel by hitting the like button. Getting back to the video. This guy's dedicated his career to cracking the longevity code, and he seems to be onto something. One of his big secrets, it's all about what you're putting into your body, or more specifically, what you're not putting into your body. Dr. Sinclair follows a strict diet, avoiding certain foods he believes accelerate aging. Now, I'm not talking about some crazy fad diet involving bird spit and unicorn tears. No, these are everyday foods that might be lurking in your pantry right now. And trust me, once you hear about the science behind why he avoids them, you might just want to toss out half your grocery list. So, buckle up, Buttercup, because we're about to dive deep into the foods Dr. David Sinclair avoids to feel 30 years younger. And let's be honest, who wouldn't want to feel 30 years younger? I mean, I'd settle for feeling 10 years younger at this point. Hell, even 3 years younger would be a win. First up on our hit list, sugar. And no, this isn't your grandma telling you to lay off the cookies. Dr. Sinclair is waging a scientific war on sugar, and for good reason. This isn't just about fitting into your skinny jeans. This is about your cells screaming for mercy. Sugar plays havoc with your blood sugar levels. One minute you're riding high on a sugar rush, the next you're crashing. And all that spiking and crashing, it's not just bad for your mood, it's wreaking havoc on your insides, increasing your risk of diabetes, heart disease, and even cancer. Nobody wants to add premature aging to their list of side effects. So what does this mean for your diet? Ditch the obvious culprits like soda and candy. Watch out for hidden sugars in processed foods and sauces. They're sneaky little devils, those sugars. Oh, and put down the fruit juice. It sounds healthy, but it's basically sugar masquerading as a health drink. Stick to whole fruits instead. You get the fiber and nutrients without the sugar overload. Giving up sugar is hard. We're practically hardwired to crave the sweet stuff. But every time you resist that sugary temptation, you're giving a big middle finger to aging. And that, my friends, is a beautiful thing. Next on Dr. Sinclair's chopping block, that seemingly innocent loaf of bread sitting on your counter. Yes, I'm talking about carbohydrates, specifically the refined kind. Think white bread, white rice, pastries, all those delicious things that make life worth living. But hold on, before you throw your bagel at the screen, let me explain. Remember that blood sugar roller coaster we talked about earlier? Well, refined carbohydrates are like the express train to Sugar Rush Mountain. They get broken down into sugar quickly, sending your blood glucose levels soaring. And what goes up must come down, right? Cue the energy crash, the cravings, and the whole vicious cycle starting all over again. Dr. Sinclair argues that all this blood sugar chaos is basically like throwing a wrench into your body's finely tuned machinery. It accelerates aging by messing with your cells' ability to repair themselves and fight off damage. So what's the solution? I'm not saying you have to say goodbye to bread forever, but Dr. Sinclair recommends cutting back on refined carbs and opting for complex carbs instead. Think whole grains, legumes, vegetables. These guys release sugar slowly into your bloodstream, keeping you feeling fuller for longer and preventing those dreaded sugar spikes. And hey, if you're really feeling adventurous, you could try swapping your morning toast for a bowl of oatmeal or some avocado toast on whole grain bread. Your taste buds might thank you, and your cells will definitely be throwing a party. Next section, meat, friend or foe. Now, before we get to chapter 3, let's address the elephant in the room, or rather the cow, pig and chicken on your plate. Yes, we're talking about meat. Now, Dr. Sinclair isn't saying you have to go full-on vegan to live a longer life, but he does believe that reducing your meat consumption, especially red meat, can have some serious benefits for your longevity. Why? Well, it all comes down to the fats and proteins found in animal products. While meat can be a good source of protein, it often comes with a hefty dose of saturated fat, which can raise your cholesterol levels and increase your risk of heart disease. And let's not forget about the potential for inflammation, which is basically like aging on fast forward. Dr. Sinclair suggests shifting towards a more plant-based diet, focusing on protein sources like beans, lentils, tofu, and tempeh. These guys are packed with nutrients, fiber, and antioxidants without all the downsides of meat. Plus, they're much better for the environment, and who doesn't love a good dose of environmentalism with their longevity? Now I know what you're thinking. But what about bacon? What about those juicy steaks? Look, I'm not saying you have to give up meat entirely, but maybe think of it as a treat, something you enjoy in moderation. After all, life's all about balance, right? And if it means adding a few extra years to your life, maybe swapping that steak for a lentil burger every now and then isn't such a bad trade-off. Section 4. Dairy, utterly unnecessary. Okay, let's talk about dairy. That creamy, dreamy goodness that's been a staple in our diet since we were kids. But is it really all it's cracked up to be? Dr. Sinclair says not so fast. Now, he's not saying you have to give up cheese entirely. And thank God for that, because a world without cheese is a world I don't want to live in. But he did notice some interesting changes in his own health markers after he reduced his dairy intake. Despite not being lactose intolerant or allergic to dairy, he found that cutting back on milk, cheese, and yogurt actually improved his overall well-being. So what's the deal with dairy? Well, for starters, it can be highly inflammatory for some people. And as we've already established, inflammation is basically public enemy number one when it comes to aging. Dairy is also a common allergen, and even if you don't have a full-blown allergy, it can still cause low-grade inflammation in your gut, which can have a ripple effect throughout your body. Plus, let's be honest, most of us aren't exactly eating yogurt and cottage cheese when we indulge in dairy. We're talking about cheese-laden pizzas, creamy pasta dishes, and ice cream sundaes. And those, my friends, are not exactly what you would call health foods. So, what's the verdict? Again, it's all about moderation. If you love your cheese, you don't have to give it up entirely. But maybe try cutting back a bit, experiment with plant-based alternatives, and see how your body feels. You might be surprised at the difference it makes. Chapter 5. Last call for alcohol. Alright folks, it's time to address the elephant in the room, or rather, the bottle of wine in your hand. Yes, we're talking about alcohol. Now, I know what you're thinking. But hey, a glass of red wine a day is good for you. It's full of antioxidants. And you're not wrong. There is some evidence to suggest that moderate alcohol consumption, particularly red wine, might have some health benefits. But here's the thing. Dr. Sinclair argues that any potential benefits of alcohol are far outweighed by the risks. Alcohol is basically a toxin. It's your liver's job to filter that toxin out, and every time it does, it takes a toll on your body. Over time, that damage can add up, leading to inflammation and liver damage. Plus, let's be honest, how many of us actually stick to that one glass of red wine a day rule? One glass easily turns into two, which turns into a bottle. Not exactly conducive to a long and healthy life, is it? So what's the solution? Dr. Sinclair's advice is simple: cut back or cut it out entirely. Focus on filling your diet with nutrient-rich foods that support your health and longevity. And if you're looking for something to sip on, try herbal tea, kombucha, or water. Your body will thank you for it. The long and short of it. So, there you have it, folks. The foods Dr. David Sinclair avoids to feel 30 years younger. Now, I'm not saying you have to adopt his entire diet overnight, but maybe, just maybe, it's worth considering the impact these everyday foods could be having on your health and longevity. Ultimately, the key to a long and healthy life is about making informed choices that support your overall well-being. It's about finding a balance that works for you, listening to your body, and maybe, just maybe, saying no to that second slice of cake every now and then. To support our new channel in a small way, please hit the like button and consider subscribing to our channel. Many thanks for watching, and we hope to see you all again in the next video.